you should burn yourself up when you're in the bath tonight. But spiritually, yes. Sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone. There's so many people today that are comfortable, and because they're comfortable, they stay. They quit moving. We get to a place where it's like, my life's not bad anymore. I'm out of the dumps. I feel good now. I'm going to stay right here. And they stop. And I can't stand that. I don't want to... I'm sick and tired of okay. I'm sick and tired of good. I want real. Because real is so much better, because we live in fake when we do that. We live in fake. Because we're not living in God's good, we're living in a worldly view of good. Because God's view of good is like He created the heavens and the earth. He created man, and it was good. That's God's good, and we're not living in that good. We're living in okay, I feel comfortable now. I'm going to stay here. And that's fake. That's not biblical good. And I want to be in the biblical good. So sometimes when you're in that, like I said earlier, when you're in darkness, and you're so used to being in darkness, and you step out and that light hits you, you just want to kind of go right back in. And it's kind of this. It's similar to what we were just saying, that when it gets bright like that, you want to turn away from it, because it's hard to make that change. I mean, Saul had to go blind for 3 days, but when he went blind for those 3 days, he went blind. But you know how he was obedient? He went right where the Lord wanted him to go. He went to. If you read, he went to Damascus. He went to the house that he was supposed to go to. And so after being blind for 3 days, but being obedient in the blindness, the scales fell off. There may be times where, because we are in such darkness, when we turn to the light, we may not be able to see everything that's about to happen. But we have to continue to take steps of faith and steps of obedience. And eventually those scales will fall off. But it takes time for those things that we let attach to us, like we talked about earlier. Those things have to burn off, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for those things to burn off. And so, after you go out into the light, after a while your eyes begin to adjust, and you begin to be able to see. And whenever you see, you can begin to move more without having to feel around or anything like that. You can just begin to move. Because you know where the light is. You know where you're going. So what I said earlier about how we use all 5 of our senses, how should we use our eyes? We use our eyes to continue to adjust to greater light. We continue to step into more light and more light and more light. We go from the dark room to turning on a lamp, to turning on 2 lamps, to turning on the lights, to stepping outside into a big bright room, to stepping outside into the open freedom that God has for us, that He created for us. Mm-hmm. And each time our eyes have to adjust more and more and more. And we continue to take those steps in obedience towards the light. And we haven't really talked much about sleeping, but the whole other side of what we're talking about is that our eyes are on darkness and we've been lulled to sleep. We've been lulled to sleep and we've been lulled out of movement. And so it's time to wake up. It's time for people to wake up. And I'm going to read a couple verses here. Mark 13, 32 through 37. But concerning that day or that hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard, keep awake, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey, when he leaves home and puts his servants in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to stay awake. Therefore stay awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or in the morning, lest he come suddenly and find you asleep. And what I say to you, I say to all, stay awake. To me, this goes right along with the parable of the 10 virgins. The ones that had the light, the ones that had the oil, those are the ones that stayed awake. Those are the ones that, they all went to sleep, but those are the ones that had the intimacy. They didn't turn away and begin to fall asleep in the times where they needed to be awake and they needed to be gathering oil. Because when the time comes and the Son of Man returns, are you going to have the oil? Are you going to have the intimacy? Is he going to know who you are? Are you going to know who he is? Because there's a group of people that are going to come to him and say, Lord, Lord, let us in. And he's going to say, I do not know you. And we have to understand that that is going to happen. And so where are we putting our eyes? Luke 19:42-44. Saying, if you had known in this day, even you, the things which make for peace, but now they have been hidden from your eyes. For the days will come upon you when your enemies will throw up a barricade against you, and surround you, and hem you in on every side, and they will level you to the ground, and your children within you, and they will not leave in you one stone upon another, because you did not recognize the time of your visitation. Why didn't they recognize? Because they have been hidden from your eyes. Things have been hidden from your eyes. Things have been hidden from your eyes. How do we get our eyes open? We begin to enter into the light. We begin to, no matter what, even if it burns a little bit, we begin to adjust to that light. How do we step into the light? Draw near. Pray, God, I want you. I love you. I want more of you. And the thing about this is that you're like, okay, fine, I guess I'll do it because I don't want to have all the bad stuff. When you enter into that intimacy and you begin to see who Jesus is, you will not want to look away. The good will be so much better than not having the bad. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't want the bad, but instead of focusing on not wanting the bad, the good is going to be so much better that you're not even going to be like, oh, you're not going to be worried about that. Because a lot of people say, I'm going to be a Christian because I don't want to go to hell. Well, radicals are like, not even thinking about hell anymore. We just want more of God. We just love him to death. He loved us to death. You ever think about where that came from? Or, I don't know if that's where it came from, but, I love you to death. I love you to death. Greater love hath no man than this. I love you to death. And whenever we begin to draw near to him, if there's no greater love, think of the greatest love you've ever felt in your life. And think about what it would be like to enter into, to draw near to him and begin to feel his love for you. And there's more and more and more because there is no end to it. And you can look into the depths of it all the days of your life. It's unimaginable. And I'm actually about to show you a verse that says that. Cool. 1 Corinthians 2:9-10. However, as it is written, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. So for those who draw near to him, we can't even fathom what he's got for us whenever we draw near to him. But God has revealed it to us by his Spirit. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God. So how do we see the deep things of God? By the Spirit who searches the deep things of God. It's revealed to us by the Spirit who searches the deep things of God. Do you want to see the deep things of God? Get into the Spirit. Connect to God. And you will begin to see intimately. You begin to feel intimately. You begin to see who he is. You will connect to him in a way you've never connected to him before. And I don't care how young, how old you are. When you get touched by that, you'll want more. You will want more. Because honestly, as our hearts are constantly yearning for something greater, something more, something better. Unless we've got some sort of wall up around it. But if you're open, you're searching for more, something better, something greater. And a lot of people live their lives like this, where they go to church and they listen. But what they're doing is their intimacy is through someone else to God. Their intimacy is through their pastor to God. Because all they're doing is listening. But when you begin to see and you begin to look for God yourself, you enter into a much deeper level of intimacy. Because you know what? Whenever you're just listening, you can fall asleep. When you just listen to something at night, you can fall asleep. But when your eyes are open and you're watching something, you're not going to fall asleep. But if you're just listening, you can fall asleep. But when you go on yourself and you seek God, you seek the things of God, you want them, you draw near to Him, you yearn for them in your heart, you will not go blind. You will not fall asleep. You will not sleep the sleep of death. But what will happen is that that intimacy is oil, and your lantern will be lit, and the lamp of your eye will be lit, and you will see the things in front of you, and you will be going right for God, and Jesus will know you. Jesus will know you, and you will know Him. I know people who know much more in the Bible than I do, but I can tell them way more about God than they can tell me about God. Because I have intimacy. There are people that I talk to that are religious or whatever, and they're like, I study all sorts of religions, and they come and they talk to me, and they're saying all this stuff about this and that, and I say, well, yeah, and I start talking about the love of God, and they don't have any idea what I'm talking about. They know the whole Bible, they don't have any idea what I'm talking about. Because they don't have intimacy. They don't have freedom. They've got these chains on their arms. They've got these things in their life that hold them down because they don't have freedom. They don't have freedom. They have truth, but it's good truth, not real truth. It's there, but it has not become real in their heart. They have head knowledge, and it is not transferred to heart knowledge. And I'll tell you this about faith. We talked about faith being a knowledge. How faith, you know it and you act on it because you know it. You know it's true, so you act on it. Okay, that's how you move on faith. Because you know it's true, which is believing. You know it's true. Faith is not head knowledge. Faith is heart knowledge. When healing transfers from your head to your heart, and it becomes a part of you, you're going to see healing manifest. But when it's still just in your mind, your chances go way down. Because faith is heart, not just mind. And your walk with God is based off faith. It is based off faith. And so intimacy, you have to lock in through faith that God is there. And you do that by getting heart knowledge. That's intimacy. That's where the intimacy comes in. It's heart knowledge. I'm kind of all over the place, so sorry if I'm like saying stuff you guys don't understand. But wherever your eyes go, you will follow. What are you entering into? Because what you enter into is going to enter into you.